For all the intent and purposes, I am stupid. I left school with more 1s and 2s in my exams and a sorority house full of ugly girls. But despite all of that, I'll still be able to lose £160 and completely change my body recomposition. So in this video, I'm going to go over all the ways I did that and explain it in the most basic way possible. So the first thing we want to establish is what is fat loss and how is it created. Fat loss is created by eating less calories than what you burn on a daily basis. And in 1 pound of fat, there's 3,500 calories. So let's say, for example, we wanted to lose 1 pound a week. You'd have to eat 500 calories less than your maintenance calories to achieve 1 pound a week of fat loss. Now, what is maintenance calories and how do we actually know where to find out what ours is? Maintenance calories is how many calories you burn naturally on a daily basis for your BMR and just your general daily activities. And the way to find this out is to go by any online calculator and just fill out your information, and they'll give you a decent baseline number to first start out with of how many calories you roughly burn on a daily basis. So with that maintenance calories, now what we want to do is eat less than that to achieve fat loss. So as I already said, eating 500 calories less than that on a day would equal to 1 pound a week fat loss. Eating 250 calories less than that on a daily basis would equal half a pound a week, and 1,000 calorie daily deficit would equal to 2 pounds a week loss. And this fat can be from absolutely anywhere. This fat loss cannot be targeted. It'll just be from anywhere from your body, and you can't decide where it comes from. As for how much weight loss I'd recommend per week, I'd say 1% of your current body weight. So let's say you're 300 pounds at the moment, losing 3 pounds a week is perfectly fine. 200 pounds losing 2 pounds a week is fine, and 100 pounds losing 1 pound a week is perfectly fine. Make sure to keep the weight loss slow and gradual, because it's going to be a much higher success rate rather than just doing the crash diet. Also, less chance of you being fatigued and losing muscle, which is very important. That's something I'm going to talk about a bit more later on. But yeah, make sure you keep the weight loss slow and gradual and sustainable. Now we have our calories of how much we want to eat on a daily basis to lose weight. How do we actually know we're going to be losing weight consistently? And for me, the best way possible is by stepping on the scale. I know it's a scary thought at first, but for me, I wish I started doing it a lot sooner. Weighing myself the first thing in the morning before I've eaten or drank anything gives yourself the best accurate number possible, the most accurate weight possible to go off. And for me, weighing yourself more consistently, 6 or 7 days a week, lets you overview the entire week, count the highs and lows, and go with that median weight. That I then track that into a notes app, and as long as that's going down on a weekly basis, I know I'm still in a deficit. And the way to find out if I wasn't in a deficit, if that median number hadn't changed for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, then I'd cut the calories by maybe 200, and then I'd go back to continue weighing myself, and I'm back into a deficit. So that's what works for me personally, and I think it's the most best way and most accurate way in knowing that you actually are losing weight week to week. Now onto the dieting phase of the video, and there's 3 things I want to talk about which are very important to this. That is ghrelin, leptin and fat cells. Think of these as the Messi, Suarez and Neymar of the human body, and they're very important and very much responsible for how much weight we're going to be. As ghrelin sends hunger signals to the brain telling us when to eat, leptin tells the brain how full we are after we have eaten, and fat cells are things we try and have to fill up to try and make sure we are full and satiated. So these 3 things being the Messi, Suarez and Neymar of the human body, we're sort of like the Phil Jones and the Chris Smalling of it, being overweight people, as these 3 things are heightened in our position, but there are definitely ways of combating this. So let's say, for example, we have 2,000 calories per day to play with, and that's a sustainable deficit for us. What do we want to fill up those 2,000 calories with to make sure the ghrelin, the leptin and the fat cells ain't disrupting or affecting our weight loss goals? What we want to do with those 2,000 calories is have a high protein diet with a high fibre diet. Why do we want to have a high protein diet? Because protein helps keep you more full and satiated. It also helps retain and build muscle mass. With fiber's case, a lot of fruits and vegetables are high in fibre and are typically very low in calories, meaning they can bulk out your meals for not a lot of calories in return, so you get a higher amount of volume of them. So some examples of fruits and vegetables that you could have on a daily basis to bulk out your meals for not a lot of calories in return, stuff like spinach, stuff like cucumbers, strawberries, berries in general, and stuff like apples. These foods are very high in fibre but very low in calories, so you get a lot more than when you bargain for. You can help bulk out your meals. So let's say, for example, a good protein source is 0 fat % Greek yogurt, and with that you can have a ton of strawberries to go along with it. That's not going to add a lot of calories added on, but it's going to help keep you more full. And as for a protein goal to hit per day, I'd say 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. And also with that 1.6 to 2.2 kilos of your goal body weight. So let's say, for example, for pounds, let's say you're 300 pounds at the moment and you want to be 200 and you're able to hit 1 gram of protein per day, that'll be 200 grams of protein per day to aim for, which can help keep you more full and satiated and help build and retain muscle mass. So how to identify an actual good protein source? So stuff like chicken breast, 5% lean mince, chicken sausages, tuna, steak, 0 fat % Greek yogurt. The way to identify a good protein source is the calories to protein ratio. So let's say, for example, you have 200 calories of any given food and the corresponding protein is 20 grams. That's a good ratio between calories and protein to fit into your daily amount, versus if it's 200 calories versus 8 grams of protein, that might not be the best use of your calories. Also with that, there's absolutely no need to intermittent fast. I'd actually personally recommend having 3 to 4 meals spread out across the entire day which are high in protein, and that's because it's going to help keep you more full throughout the day, reduce snacking. And as someone who's used to intermittent fast, I used to do a diet called OMAD. It just made me want to, like, when that eating window would be open, it just made me want to overeat and everything, versus having meals spread out throughout the day, which helps keep me more full and satiated and keeps my mind off food. And also with that, make sure to drink plenty of water, maybe 2 to 3 litres. Obviously it's going to help keep you more hydrated, and also it expands the stomach out and helps keep you more full. And also with that, 0-calorie drinks are also a great alternative, especially from their fully calorie counterparts. And also the caffeine within them diet drinks can help keep you more full and satiated. The next thing I want to go over is how to weigh and track food. Something that might be quite intimidating at first. I definitely found it quite intimidating, a bit of a pain in the arse to do. But once you do get the hang of it, it's very much into your routine. And once you get the swing of it, it's completely fine. And it's actually really easy to actually do. So what you want to do is to take out all the guesswork of just figuring out how much you actually are eating, which can lead to you underestimating calories, which could have you actually overeating, which will put you out of maintenance rather than being in a deficit. To take all that guesswork out, what you want to do is find a reliable app. What I use personally is called MyFitnessPal, and on that app you can actually just scan the barcode of whatever food you're having and just track it that way. And what you want to have is a food scale, and with that you want to just put it down anywhere, have a weighing bowl out, reset it, then weigh out whatever food you want to have. I'll put an on-screen example now of me weighing out some potatoes. So obviously scan the barcode, put your weighing scale down, put a bowl on top, restart the scale, weigh it in grams. That's a lot more accurate than any other measurement. Then just weigh out however much you want, log it into the app, and that's it. It's all done, nice and easy. It's not too bad. Now that's the dieting portion covered. Now I'm going to go on to workouts, starting with cardio. And the cardio I prefer doing the most is walking, because it's low impact. You can do it at any fitness level and you incorporate into your day-to-day life. And also it's very important to remember with cardio, and something I wish I learned right at the beginning, was that cardio is only a sprinkle on top of your total calorie burn per day. Your total calorie burn will come from your BMR, which we went through earlier, and cardio it might be an extra 200 or 300 calories adding on to that. So there's no need to go absolutely berserk or mental with the cardio. Do something you can sustainably do and get better at. So with walking's sake, let's say at the moment you can do 4,000 steps. What you want to do is increase that over time. So 4,000 at the moment, but maybe in 2 months time now you can do 6,000 steps. That's going to be great for you, great for your cardiovascular health. You're going to be burning off more calories. So yeah, picking something low impact like walking and something that's progressively easier to get better at is a much more safer bet, rather than doing something like the Stairmaster or jogging, because it's way too overcomplicated. I've watched so many videos when I was overweight and versus even now, where people say you've got to do 3 days of interval sprints, a couple of days for walking and another day for incline walking. It's just too overcomplicated. Just pick one thing and stick to it consistently. Now on to weightlifting, and the first thing we want to establish is how is muscle actually grown. Muscle is grown by giving it a stimulant to grow, by tearing down the muscle fibers in your workouts and giving them plenty of rest, recovery and protein outside of the gym to make those muscle fibers grow back bigger and stronger. And to achieve this, you'll have a structured routine in place and something you can stick to. So when you go to the gym, you actually know what you are actually getting up to when you're there, and not just going through the motions. Because that's the one thing I see when I go to the gym, or just even myself when I first started lifting weights. You do 1,000,001 exercises, but that is pretty much pointless if you don't put enough effort into it. You'd be much better off doing 2 to 3 movements and actually really giving those sets some real intensity, rather than doing 1,000,001 exercises and not really trying in those workouts. So what you want to do is approach every single set you have with real intensity. You don't have to go all the way to muscular failure. Muscular failure is when you physically can't do another rep and you have to drop the weight. You don't have to always go to that point, but getting close to that area where muscle failure occurs, that's what causes a lot of growth, rather than, as I said, just going through the motions and not really trying. You want to really approach it with some proper minerals and some proper kahunas into your workouts to try and get the best results possible, and really want to see that muscle grow. And when you are lifting weights, any rep range between 5 and 30 repetitions is completely fine. On the lower end of that, doing 5 repetitions, the exercise can be very difficult straight away, which maybe suits certain exercises and maybe not others. Let's say for lateral raises, doing 5 reps of lateral raises can be very uncomfortable, versus doing maybe 12 or 13 repetitions of lateral raises might be a bit more comfortable. So just pick whatever goes to you, but as long as you're intense, that's all that matters. And the staple movements you want to have in your routine is compound movement. So what's a compound movement? Compound movements are one exercise, but it works multiple muscle groups at once. So stuff like benching, rowing, Romanian deadlifts, these sort of things work multiple things at once. So it doesn't mean you'd have to do 1,000,001 exercises to get the same amount of results. So let's say, for example, for the back, doing pulling movements. So let's say a dumbbell row. That's also going to activate your bicep because it's a pulling motion. So that's going to get a bit indirectly hit. So you don't need loads of exercises for the biceps or loads of sets either. So a general rule of thumb I personally follow in my routine is that for the major muscle groups, so stuff like your chest, your back and your legs, I do 8 to 15 total sets per week. So let's break that down a little bit more and let's stick with the back. So the back's obviously a major muscle group. And let's say I do 3 sets of dumbbell rows with 2 sets of dumbbell pullovers. So that's 5 sets in that one workout. And if I do that twice over a week, that'll give me 10 total sets in that week, which puts me in that 8 to 15 range. And that's what works perfectly for me, being in that sort of set group. And for the smaller muscle groups, I only do 6 to 8 total isolation sets per week. And this is because these muscles, so stuff like your biceps, your triceps and your shoulders, they already get indirectly hit in the big compound movements as we already discussed. So let's stick again with the biceps. I might only do 6 isolation sets for the biceps per week, but because I'm doing a lot of dumbbell rowing for my back, so let's say that's also 6 sets, my biceps also going to get indirectly hit from doing them pulling motions for the back. So I don't need a ton more extra volume for those muscle groups. And reason you want to hit each muscle group twice per week is because it just gives you extra stimulant to grow. So let's say, for example, you only hit one muscle group once every week. That'd only be 52 times a year. Versus if you hit it twice a week, that'd be 104 times a week, giving the extra stimulant to grow. And also with that on my channel, I do have a total workout plan, a dumbbell routine where you only need a pair of dumbbells and a bench. So yeah, that video is also up. If you are someone starting out at the gym or if you just have any equipment at home, I do have a workout routine and a sample plan to go off. And with whatever routine you decide to follow, it's crucial that you have progressive overload incorporated into that routine. So what is progressive overload? Progressive overload is increasing your weight on repetition onto any given exercise over time to give your muscle more stimulant to grow. So what you want to do is log your workouts. What I'll do personally, I have a notes app of my routine and what I've done. This way it's easy to go off and it's just straight on my phone so I can just easily access it. So when I'm in the gym for my next session, I can see what I did last time and see what I can improve on. So let's say, for example, you do 3 sets of 12 of dumbbell bicep curls with 10 kilo dumbbells. So let's say with that, so 3 sets of 12 with the 10 kilos, what you can either do is aim for 13 repetitions or go to the 12 kilo dumbbells. And what you're doing is you're giving yourself more stimulant to grow by progressively improving that lift. So now back to what I said earlier about not wanting to have a big calorie deficit, to not want to lose muscle. So why is that important? Having more muscle onto your frame is a lot more metabolically active. So if you do lose weight very rapidly, which is the trap a lot of people fall into, me included, wanting to lose weight so quickly just for the instant gratification of it, what happens is you lose a lot of muscle, which impacts your metabolism because muscle is more metabolically active compared to fat, so you're burning off less calories off. So it's very important to keep the weight loss very slow and gradual, because when you do lose weight very rapidly, you just end up looking quite frail. There's no issue with that, obviously, but if you do want that body recomposition of losing the fat but building muscle at the same time, you want to keep that fat loss quite slow. As I said, 1% of your goal weight per week while you're slowly increasing up your muscle mass. That's going to give you the best results possible, so keep the weight loss nice and slow. So we've gone over in this video how to lose fat, how to have a good diet, a cardio goal, and how to weight lift. And for me, those are the 4 most crucial things when it comes to body recomposition. Also, making sure you lower your stress and have enough sleep on a daily basis is also very important for your recovery. But the final thing I really want to get across is patience. And for me, if I could go back to my 19-year-old self and just tell him just to fucking hold on a little bit, not trying to rush the process so much, that'd be the most important thing I'll tell my former self, is just to wait. Because you see a lot of videos online where it says, if I had to lose 30 pounds in 3 months, this is what I'd do. I'm not even saying the information in those videos aren't even that good, because they are. But for me, it's just too much. It's too much instant gratification. I get people, that's why they do it for the clicks and stuff, because that's the dopamine that people want to click on. But for me, it's so important and imperative to keep this slow and gradual as much as possible. Don't give yourself an eating issue. Make sure it's nice and slow. Don't do anything too drastic, or don't do anything with the gratifications of others. That's also very important to remember. And also just remember this, I'm thick as pig shit, right? I'm not a smart person, but I've been able to do this. So if I can do this, anyone definitely else can. Weight's something I've struggled with massively since I was a kid, and now I've been able to get a hold of it. It's not a short-term fix. It's very much a long-term issue that you have to get over and do it for yourself. But if someone as thick as me can do it, anyone else absolutely can.